Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast, where the goal is to help you craft your dream lifestyle. In today's conversation, we're talking about confidently facing your fears. And to start the conversation, we're going to start by really talking about what fear is and really when it arises, and basically the fact that you're going to end up running into fear, especially what I've come to find in my own life as well as just through my study of others, is if you're working to do anything of significance, you're going to run into fear. Because as the saying goes, if you want to have something you've never had, if you want a result that you've never gotten before, you're going to have to do something you've never done. And anytime you're doing something that you've never done before, it's all unknown. And so you deal with imposter syndrome, you can deal with analysis paralysis. There's so many things, self-doubt. There's so many things and syndromes and traps that you can fall into when you're dealing with essentially the unknown. And all of that can basically be packaged up and wrapped up into fears. All of us have most of the time a fear of failing or a fear of even success sometimes. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today is really just focusing on, confidently facing your fears. Confidently facing your fears. And the reason why this was important and I really wanted to talk about this is because right now I'm in a position just in life overall where I'm encountering fears left and right. So give you a little context about where I'm at just right now. I'm 27 years old, getting married in October. To God be the glory. Shout out to my fiance. Building businesses and just kind of at a stage in life where I want to go to the next level. Right. And not even just from a place of where I want to. It's almost there's almost like that healthy pressure of I need to go to the next level. And as I mentioned earlier, it's like when you are going somewhere you've never been before, you have to do things you've never done. There's a lot of things that I'm finding that I'm encountering that bring up the emotion or the feeling of fear, where it's, well, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to get this wrong, or, just there's a mirage of thoughts that I'm dealing with. And even if I had to even be more specific, right now I'm putting together the Dreamer Symposium, which is essentially for people to come to a space, get super clear and understand what they want to accomplish this year, create a whole success strategy and everything like that. And I'm in the process of putting that together. And what's crazy about that in my experience is I'm putting this event together. Last year I had the exact same event and it was a complete success. There were people in the room. It flowed well. The transitions were great. The content was great. And, people really enjoyed themselves, and not just enjoyed themselves and like they had a good time, but, I'm in contact with everybody that went, and they are really making strides just within this year as a result of what we talked about in the symposium. And as I'm prepping for the next one, it's like, okay, how do we make this better? How do we take this to the next level? And what's interesting that I'm finding as I'm trying to, get the right people in the room and put the right things in place so that way people really get the most out of the event, I find myself running into the fear that this is going to be a failure. I find myself running into the fear that I'm not going to be able to have the same success as last year, especially now that I'm going for a higher standard with the event. And I've had to be super, super intentional with like really facing the fear. And I think a lot of people struggle with facing their fears. A lot of people struggle with facing their obstacles. And I believe a lot of that just has to do with there's not enough encouragement of self. And so one of the things that I've really been super intentional with is, during my morning routines, I have a part of my morning routine where I basically affirm myself. I've set affirmations that are scripture based that I basically say out loud, and I say them confidently. So that way, when I go on and take on the day, I'm ready to go. But I've had to be like way more like intentional as opposed to just kind of saying my affirmations and going off my day. Like I've had to really like lock in with my affirmations. And one of the things that has truly helped me as I'm facing my fears when it comes to putting together the symposium, facing my fears when it comes to, preparing for marriage and all the different things just in life. And that's my story. So think about just with where you want to go and the moves that you're making and the fears that you're encountering. I'm having to really focus on encouraging myself. And that can come by affirmations. that can come by reflection. I believe that those are really the two ways you can really encourage yourself. One, by just really finding a set of affirmations that encourage your belief in yourself. And I believe self-confidence is one of those things that a lot of people lack just because they're caught in the rat race of life. They're so busy that they don't really find the time to take care of themselves in a way that's really sustainable. And a lot of times when people talk about self-care, they think about, well, going to the spa, they think about relaxing on the couch. But self-care can also include you taking the time to just build up who you are from a sense of, let me say this list of 10 affirmations. Let me really look in the mirror and just encourage myself, especially since, with just where we are in the world, how many people that do you have in your life that can look you in the eye and just say, hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, you're awesome. Hey, you can do this. Hey, don't worry about anything. You have what it takes. Like, a lot of people don't really have those types of people. But the truth is, if you have a mirror, you can be that person until God places that person that can speak that into your life. But you have to be willing to do the quote unquote crazy thing and do something like just look in the mirror and encourage yourself. Because when you're in the midst of focusing on what you're afraid of, you have to also remember who you are. And that's the whole purpose of really encouraging yourself. And that's really helped me a lot in my process with putting together this event, where it's like, okay, I know who I am and I believe I can do this. Like, I believe I can put 80 people in a room that can really get value out of really getting clear on what they want to accomplish for the year. I believe I can do it because I have enough evidence in my life. And that's where not only do you have the affirmations piece where it's basically affirming my skills and my knowledge, like I have the ability to do it. Do you know what you want to accomplish in the new year, whether it be personally or professionally? If you're trying to figure it out, I'm encouraging you to get your ticket to the Dreamer Symposium. This is going to be your space to get really clear on what you want to do, where you are, and you're going to leave with a practical success strategy. And there's going to be an accountability system for the entire year to make sure that you complete it, so that way you elevate your life. All you have to do to get your ticket is go to dreamersymposium.com right now so you can register. I want you to be there because I want you to level up. I want you to go to the next level in your life. I want you to level up in your finances, level up in your personal life, level up in your professional life, level up your overall level of being. And you have to go to the Dreamer Symposium to do that. So go to dreamersymposium.com, get your ticket. Now let's get back to the episode. But the reflection piece helps, where it's like, I have evidence in my life where this is possible. Like, I'm on the trend towards this goal that I have, which for me is 80 people at the symposium. But just think about wherever you are with your life. It's a matter of thinking through, okay, you know what? When I look back at my life, at the things I used to be afraid of, look back at my life at the goals I had but I accomplished, I have enough evidence to say, you know what? I can trust myself that when I set a goal, when I set my intention on something, I make it happen. And that is all a part of just simply encouraging yourself, because sometimes we do just need a reminder of the great things that we have done. And I'm someone, like, I really do, for those of you that know me, know that I am like terrible at taking compliments. And so I'm the type of person where I have to really be intentional with, you know what, I actually did do that. I actually did start that business. I actually did, start a podcast that's doing well and consistent and all these different types of things. Like, I have to really be intentional with that, because I know myself well enough to know when it comes to other people, giving me compliments, I'm always just, well, what's the next thing? Here's what's going wrong. And that's just where my mind goes. But when I'm faced with fears, when I'm encountering, just emotions that stop me from going for what I know is right for my life, that's when I have to be intentional and say, you know what? I have enough evidence from my life that when the going gets tough, I get going. I have enough evidence in my life that when I encounter fear, I can look it in the face and just win anyway. I can overcome any single fear that I encounter. But a lot of that really at the foundational level is just taking the time to encourage myself. And you can do the same thing. So when you think about just where you are in life, take the time to encourage yourself. Take the time to look in the mirror, say, your name. You can do it. You're awesome. You're great. It doesn't matter what other people think about you. You're able to accomplish whatever you put your mind to. And when you just find whatever affirmations really work for you, you're going to see a complete change in your performance, because all of us need support. And if you're someone that's like, well, I don't have anybody in my inner circle to support me that way, be that person until God gives you that person, okay, to really speak into your life. And along with that, take the time to reflect. Take the time to reflect on, you know what? I've actually really accomplished a lot in my life. And I may not be where I want to be, but I'm certainly not where I used to be. And when you think about just even that dynamic, there's a level of gratefulness that goes into that. There's a level of, just truly understanding where you started from. Because at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong when it comes to life. There is no right or wrong when it comes to making progress, because at the end of the day, success and failure, it's all information. Success is where you basically learn this is what works. Failure is when you learn, well, this doesn't work. And it's up to you to basically sift through and just basically find the stuff that works. And so when you're facing fears, that are crippling, when you're facing fears that have you up at night, when you're facing fears that, just debilitate you, it's up to you to make the intentional decision to encourage yourself. Encourage yourself even when nobody else is. Encourage yourself even when nobody believes in you. Encourage yourself when it doesn't make sense to everybody else. And that's okay. And that's why it's also important that you surround yourself with people. But it has to start with you. I was at a leadership conference, and one of the great quotes that I heard from it that really stuck with me is, and I might butcher the quote, but it's that you're the only one that can give yourself permission to grow. That me as your coach, right? If me as your coach, I can only help you grow if you give me permission. So when you think about just your fears, and when you're facing your fears, you're the only one that can give yourself permission to say, you know what, I can rise above my fears. You're the only one that can give yourself permission to say, you know what, I can overcome this. But it takes the intentional decision to say, I can do this. It takes the intentional decision to simply say, I can do it. All right. You have to encourage yourself. And that's like the baseline of when it comes to just confidently facing your fears. Because when you encourage yourself, again, like I said, it's not just so much about you acknowledge the fear, right? Because you need to be able to look your fear in the face for sure. But you need to look your fear in the face, remembering this is who I am, right? Like not just so much from the sense of I'm dealing with this obstacle, I'm dealing with this fear. You need to look at it from the standpoint of, no, this fear is dealing with me. This obstacle is dealing with me. And when it comes to me versus any fear, I'm going to win. And when you really adopt that, and that comes from just simply training your brain, that comes from encouraging yourself consistently, whether it be through your morning routine, whether it be through your solar system, whatever. But when you encourage yourself, you're going to find yourself winning that battle as you face more and more of your fears. And even as you do that, another thing that's really helped me a lot is playing the worst case, best case scenario game. And again, this takes time. It takes time for you, and not like a long amount of time, but it simply takes intentional time for you to just be like, you know what? When you think about a decision that you have to make or a thing that you want to accomplish, and you're in the midst of dealing with that fear, play the best case, worst case. What's the meaning? For me in my situation, we'll use me as an example here. With the Dreamer Symposium, best case, I fill the room with 80 people. 80 people get impacted. 80 people know exactly what they want to accomplish in the next upcoming year. They know exactly how they're going to do it. They're going to take advantage of the accountability system. They heard from all the speakers. They're encouraged. They're empowered. They're motivated. They increase their discipline. They're ready to go. That's the best case scenario. Like if that happens, we win. Like if that happens, the Dreamer Symposium was a success, and it will be a success. Worst case, nobody shows up, and I tried. Okay. Like at the end of the day, like I said earlier, right? Success is basically just evidence of what works. Failure is evidence of what doesn't work. At the end of the day, like I'll be fine. At the end of the day, it's like, because I encourage myself, it's playing that best case, worst case scenario game of, look, at the end of the day, it'll be okay. It'll work itself out. Because I also know, regardless of whatever happens with this upcoming symposium, I'm not going to stop, right? Like, I have that mentality of, I'm not going to stop doing it. Like, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to figure it out. And that's where, like I said, that's why the foundation of really confidently facing your fears really is encouraging yourself, because I look at my fears from the standpoint of, no, my fear has to deal with me. And the only question is, am I going to be intentional in facing them and really doing what it takes to overcome the fear and creating enough evidence right now so that way I can overcome the fear and market it and really just allow it to fuel me, as opposed to allowing the fear to drain me. And so, looking for accountability, you need to check out the Dream Society. For $20 a month, you can join a community that will give you the support that you need and the accountability that you need to hit your goals every single week. And for $20 a month, it is the best investment that you will ever make in yourself. So I want you to go to dreamsociety.info right now to join, and let's get back to the episode. When you're thinking about just playing the worst case, best case, or the worst case, best case scenario game, just think about with whatever decision that you have in front of you. And it could be it might not even necessarily be a one singular decision, but it could just be something you're going for and the fears that are associated with going for that thing. Play best case, worst case scenario. Because to me, with where I am with the Dreamer Symposium, right? My best case of there being 80 people that are encouraged and they find their purpose and they're motivated to really accomplish something in 2024, that outweighs the fear of nobody showing up. Like, to know that I have the opportunity to impact 80 people's lives, that is way bigger than nobody showing up. Because at the very least, I tried. Right? At the very least, I have information in the worst case scenario. But that best case scenario, which is very possible, oh my gosh, like that's everything. Like, that can change everything. And not change everything for me. It's, again, 80 lives. And every single person that registers for the Dreamer Symposium, like, I truly care about them. And that's what I think about. So when I play that best case, worst case scenario, it becomes way easier to face my fear, because I understand here are the two outcomes. And a lot of times, fear is fear because we don't know the outcome. Fear is fear because we're uncertain of what's going to happen. But when we play that best case, worst case scenario game, now we're bringing the control into our own hands. And we're simply saying, here's a situation where this is best case scenario. This is perfect. This is success. This is failure. At the end of the day, opportunity is still afoot. At the end of the day, with either one of these two things, I'm going to get better. And I'm going to get better because I have information. And that's ultimately what I've learned just in my time as I'm putting together the Dream Symposium, as I'm going through life and marriage and all the fun things. I'm learning that taking the time to face the fear is, one, it's information gathering. Two, it's opportunity. Because what you'll come to notice, what you'll come to learn, especially as you navigate just crafting your dream lifestyle and improving your own life, opportunity is usually masked by fear. Okay, I'll say it in a different way. Fear is the veil where opportunity lies. Okay, before you reach opportunity, you're going to encounter fear. And so when I think about my best case scenario, after encouraging myself and really understanding, you know what, my fear has to deal with me. When I understand that the fears that I'm dealing with, they're real, I embrace them. I look them in the eye and I understand, you know what? I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of based off of just what I'm telling myself. This is what I'm programming my subconscious mind towards my fears. But also at the same time, I have evidence that proves such. I have evidence that proves when it comes to needing to step up to the plate, I do it. Now, any fear that I face, I'm able to face it confidently because it's like, yo, you have to deal with me. I'm not dealing with you. And so from there, we're able to, again, put the ball in our court. Then we play the best case, worst case scenario. Then we're able to simply understand, you know what? Fear ends up being my guide. Fear can be your guide. And I can tell you for sure, and I've seen this in my own life, and I'm certain other people would agree, that the things that you're most of the time very afraid of usually are at the doorstep. They're the first step of your biggest opportunity. And that's why I said that, fear masks your opportunity. So when you're thinking about confidently facing your fears, all I'm encouraging you to do is get in the habit of affirming yourself and encouraging yourself with affirmation statements. I'm encouraging you to take time to reflect on just past evidence where you have been successful, past evidence where you have stepped up to the plate. And then I'm encouraging you to play the best case, worst case scenario game. Then I'm encouraging you to just go for it. I'm encouraging you to go for it because you literally have nothing to lose. And again, this isn't me saying fear isn't real. This isn't me saying that, you're never going to deal with fear. You are absolutely going to deal with fear. If you are trying to do anything significant, you're going to run into fear, and that's a good thing. But you need to make sure that you're prepared. You need to make sure that you have built yourself up, encourage yourself enough so that way when you do encounter fear, you know what to do. So I hope that this conversation was helpful. I will certainly be implementing a lot of this and continue to implement this, not just for myself, but really just because this is bigger than me. Just kind of even back to what I talked about in the last episode of really having a mission. But again, hope this was helpful. Do me a favor. Be sure to share this conversation with someone, just because I'm certain somebody that is dealing with fear, whether or not they've shared it with you. Again, anytime you're trying to do something significant, fear is going to be present. So share this episode with somebody. Do me a very like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, and all that good stuff. But I appreciate you. If you haven't, go check out last episode. We had a really good conversation there that I believe will bless you. And I will see you guys next week. Always remember, your dream is possible as long as you are willing to work for it.